this motley assortment to recognize 25 years and more now, 25 years and several months, of the existence of Haulover's Nature's Beach. It's world-renowned. People take it for granted, and they really shouldn't. It didn't just happen, and the government didn't give us this. This was the result of vision, dedication, and hard work from a grassroots effort. Many, many volunteers were part of that and continue to be part of that in keeping it going. But the purpose of today's gathering is to honor especially the co-founders, Richard and Shirley Mason, who are sitting right there. Richard's in the blue cap, Shirley's in the white moo-moo, or whatever that is. Sarong.
It's not wrong, it's right.
Sarong is right. Back in 1991, they brought together an effort to create nude use on this wonderful, but at that time underused beach. They did their homework. They didn't just come out here and get naked. They did their research and found that in the state of Florida, based on Supreme Court rulings, nudity, mere nudity, in the absence of lewd and lascivious behavior or intent, is not a violation of the state's indecent exposure statute. On the basis of that, they let the authorities know that they're going to be coming out here, not to ask permission, but just to give them a heads up, because we don't need permission to be here. We're protected by law. They gathered together a small band and came out here and started just sunbathing nude in the summer of 1991. There was a little bit of confusion among some of the authorities, but the legal counsel for Miami-Dade, at that time, Miami Metro-Dade Police Department, their legal counsel advised their entire staff that indeed the legal reasoning was correct, and there was nothing illegal about being nude here on Haulover Beach. It grew from there. By 1993, it had a really strong following, and the rest pretty much is history. But again, it didn't just happen. It's taken constant vigilance, hard work, monitoring, lobbying, cajoling, pissing and moaning to keep this thing going. And without the volunteers and without the contributors, and I'm going to do a shameless plug here, without the contributors to South Florida Free Beaches, who helped pay for the stamps, pay for the printing, pay for the lobbyist who helps us defend this, both up in Tallahassee and more recently right here in Miami-Dade County with local officials. To pay for all those things, we very, very much appreciate the support, the constant ongoing support of the sponsors, members, to make that possible. So without going further ado, I just want to give a little plug for our websites so you can find out the history. I'm not going to recite all of it here, but the website for South Florida Free Beaches is sffb.com, and the website for Beaches Foundation Institute, which is the nonprofit adjunct that takes care of a lot of the charitable and educational functions, like working on handicapped access, like obtaining the showers that are on the beach side so you don't have to get dressed to take a shower. That's Beaches Foundation Institute, and their website is beachesfoundation.org. I'm going to say very briefly, I want to express my gratitude for Miami-Dade County's presence here in the form of Representative Jack Cardis, Director of Parks, Mr. Morrow right here. And there'll be some further introductions afterward, but thank you very much for showing the flag of the county and the Parks Department.
Sure.
I'd like to introduce now Ken, mental block, Ken Tower, who is captain of the Beach Ambassador Program and who is the prime executor in recent months behind getting this wonderful plaque that you're going to see shortly that honors Richard and Shirley. So I'm going to shut up for a moment and let Ken speak.
Thank you, Seth. You've left very little for me to say. I do want to add other people have been invited on fairly short notice because this plaque has been a long, difficult 2 or 3 years process of acquiring it. And I won't elaborate what all the issues were, but I actually got the plaque in the mail with the wrong days, Monday morning. So we've been working hard to get it here. And Paul Friedrich is our muscle man, we put the plaque in a bucket of concrete. That bucket is 3 feet down, anchored solid. Because in this park at night, there comes in to be strong people that come to try to tear things out of the ground. So there's a great deal of work in doing this, but the work is nothing compared to what these two have done. They put the rest of their lives on hold to work on this beach. And it's the mentoring part. It's not just opening the beach, which is amazing, but the mentoring part is what kept us alive, kept us wholesome. We are on the world list of top nude beaches in the world, and competing with Europe, that's pretty darn good. So we are well known. We're in the city. Most nude beaches are way out in the middle of nowhere. Here we're right in the city, but people don't seem to know about us that much. So it's really a remarkable thing to have this here. And I don't want to get into details of the law, but if you ask the police officer for the statute book on nudity, it will say it's illegal, it's a misdemeanor. But it's the court decision that said that's wrong. And sometimes we still have to educate other officers not familiar with this park, because what's in the ordinance doesn't change when the court changes it. But it's true. So this is just a great honor for us to do this. It's long overdue, but it's great to have. But I want to pause for a minute because I should also recognize the two local park officials here, both managers, Sherry and Laurent.
Yes.
I got them both right. Very good. Are there any representatives from any other official that was invited? Okay, because we invited a number of people, but with short notice, it's a bit difficult. So would anybody here like to speak, say a few words about these people? Keep the bad words down, but come on forward and come and say something.
Let me jump in. There's one other recognition that needs to be made before we open it up. I also want everyone to recognize Lewis Beach, who's in the blue hat, blue shirt, and can of Coca-Cola, who initiated this project. It was his brainchild, and he did a lot of work for a long time to lay the groundwork, get the approvals, get the wording, and before he handed it over. And we want to show tremendous gratitude to his team.
Yes. Now, would anybody come forward?
Yeah, good afternoon. My name is George Moore, and I'm the Assistant Director for Parks Operation and Stewardship. I started in this new position a few months ago. I've been with the department about 17 years. And I just want to say Mr. Jack Cardis, who has been the director for about 10 years, and Jack has been with the department for 35 years. And actually, Jack was a park manager here. You know, he couldn't be here today, and he expressed his regrets. Obviously, he couldn't be here, Shirley and Richard, but he certainly, you know, has you in his thoughts. Actually, I was talking to Jack earlier this week, and Jack Cardis was a park manager here in '91 when you started, you know, this movement, which grew into a strong, robust organization, and the partnership we've had over the years. You know, Jack says it's been fruitful, it's been challenging. But at the end of the day, you know, there's a legacy to be left here. And, you know, as far as I know, this is not only a local, you know, recreational amenity, this is a national, it's even international at this point that it's recognized. And for that, I just want to say thank you. And certainly you will leave your legacy here now with this plaque we're going to unveil. And again, on behalf of the department and the folks of Miami-Dade County, you know, thank you very much for your ongoing partnership and support.
Thank you, George.
Thank you.
If someone else comes forward, but meanwhile, I want to make one more announcement. The founder of South Florida Free Beaches was here before we opened. We opened in '91, and Richard and Shirley get the most credit for that. And the reason only their names are on this plaque. Number one is Parks won't let us have a bigger plaque with more words on. But secondly, they were the ones who pushed for the idea. And it's the mentoring for 25 years that makes a difference. However, South Florida Free Beaches started, in the 80s? And Tom Chittenden and Barbara Peterson founded the organization. Yay! Now, anybody else want to speak a word or two? Okay, We will now hail.
Big drag screaming and kicking.
Go for it.
Ladies, come forward.
For it, ladies.
We got Vanna and Frana. Love you.
To the founders of Haulover's Nudos Beach. Sorry. Founders of Haulover Naturalist Beach.
In a moment.
I'm so nervous. I'm sorry, guys. In grateful recognition of Shirley and Richard Mason as leaders of South Florida Free Beaches for the designation of a portion of Haulover as a clothing-optional, family-friendly naturist beach on July 14, 1991. The Masons devoted decades of the development and preservation of the beach and naturalism. By volunteering and mentoring, they educated the public, government, and tourist industry on the values and benefits of the naturalist recreation. They did. Isn't it nice?
One picture.
I can share this on that flight.
They're doing
I'll
it.
be excited.
You want over by the plaque? One of you on each side of the plaque. Indecent exposure. Beautiful.
Woo-hoo! Oh, Shirley knows how to pose. Look at her. Oh, no, you
We were told to keep it short. I know that he was talking about Richard. Right? Both? Okay. Because the cookies can't wait. First of all, I really have to tell you how much I appreciate the effort that it took to do this. And Louis, you're amazing for even thinking of doing this. That meant a great deal to me. I never expected it. We never expected it. And Tom Chittenden and South Florida Free Beaches started off fighting. This organization is an organization that had a dream about creating an openness for nude recreation in South Florida. And that dream was somehow infused in a lot of people, and it had to have been carried on. And it was done with love. It was. The group that started South Florida Free Beaches was a group of hippies, but they were also, just so you need to know this, a group of mensas. That means those really smart people. I don't know if that was necessarily the impetus, but for Richard and I, it was a form of justice and of common sense that we should have designated nude beaches. It just was like, yeah. So our fight for it was, number one, because I loved him and I couldn't see him with his skin condition not having something as natural as skinny dipping, which is something I grew up with in Minnesota, land of 10,000 lakes. Hell, I moved down here to enjoy the water and the warmth. So this came very natural for us, and when we learned the grief that people were going through in order just to enjoy this and being arrested, I said, the hell with that. So if millions and millions of people have been able to enjoy this. It certainly enriched our lives, and I hope it continues to enrich a lot of other people's lives. And if we can help bring that to other people around the state of Florida and then around the United States, as long as we're breathing, we'll be here to help. We may be coming out. But I'm coming back here, and I want my ashes spread here. Now, you all heard that. Yeah. So, okay. So if anybody ever questions it, you heard it here. I want my ashes spread out here at Haulover.
Me too.
I do.
Being a man of few words and unaccustomed to public speaking, I just want to say thank you that two things. This beach was started, but the beach is still here because of the beach ambassadors. They're the ones that have kept this beach open, as well as all the other people that use the beach. We have a great crowd of people here that are responsible citizens. They look out for the beach. And the fact they come here and have made it a popular beach has convinced government that it is a pliable thing. As a facility, it's the largest facility in Dade County, South Florida, in annual attendance. We draw more people than the Marlins, the Heat, and the Dolphins combined when I last checked. So this has become an economic benefit to the community and a tourist generator for resort taxes, sales taxes. So it's more than just a nude beach. It's a fabric of the community. So at this point, we have to give Tom credit because no one group or one person in any one generation or time really accomplishes anything. It takes a period of consistent time, started by Tom and Barbara Peterson in the 70s actually. South Florida Free Beaches was incorporated in 1980. They sued the city of Miami over an ordinance and laws. Tom personally has been arrested 4 times, never convicted, standing up for his First Amendment rights and his right to have a designated naturist facility. So at this point, Tom, I'd also like to recognize Larry over there. He was one of the founding members of South Florida Free Beaches. Tom, it's yours.
Richard, this is a truly an honor. I love everything that I do. And I am very pleased and proud to be part of this, to have started it. Yes, I created, along with Barbara Kahn at the time, South Florida Free Beaches. We had our first meeting in September 1980 with about a dozen people in attendance. And look what we have now. We have Haulover with thousands of people on a day like today. And I'm very pleased and proud to have been a part of it. I'm very happy. I'm happy to be here now. I came here as strictly for medical purposes.
From Guatemala.
I'm happy to be here now. And I'm very happy to be in front of you all. And I thank you all for being here.
See you later.
Thank you.
You know, Tom brought the group up here back in the 80s, and he picked this beach as a potential nude beach.
Because it was out of sight of the traffic, it was close to everything, and it was right on the edge.
So, thank you, Tom. Thank you all for
Coming before, don't disperse. Don't disperse. We have refreshments behind you. There's water, there's soft drinks, and cookies and pastries. So please help yourselves. We don't want to take it home. Thank you.
I wouldn't say anything to everybody, but I just don't want to make.
Just a little can over there with slips of paper.
Next time you'll be invited.
I'm not that great. Yes.